There was an urban legend. Write your troubles down on a note, hold it in your hands at midnight and pray, God, please help me. Then God will hear your plea and change your fate. Hello cutie beans! Today I bring you a review and a tier list of one of my new favourite games, which is AWonderfulWorld. So I'm going to tell you about this game, what I liked, what I disliked, and then I'm going to rate the characters. So let's get on to it. So come on then, so what is AWonderfulWorld about? So if I'm going to give you the TLDR. It's a visual novel with puzzle gameplay. You play as the protagonist Myth. She wakes up and she doesn't know what's going on, and she is told that she is a god and her job as god is to answer the prayers of the humans. So humans write to you, you get letters, and you've got to answer those prayers in whatever way you can. There are multiple outcomes to your actions depending on what you do. Some of these stories also overlap and you'll need part of one person's story to fill out another person's story. Like I said, help from Willy. Willy is another god. He takes the form as an adorable dog. So, what did I dislike? I always like to go straight in with dislikes when I'm doing review videos because it's I find it's easier to go from a down into a high and you'll remember the high better. So, what did I dislike? Firstly, not all the stories are interesting. I find that some of them you don't really care what happens. Some of them are just written in a way that I just wasn't captivated. I wasn't that into the character, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna find the best ending to get me through. I'm not really bothered about the rest of the endings. However, yeah, so, and then comes on to my second point. Some of the stories are really short, like you only get one letter from this character, and it's like, well, I want to know what happened, like what happened after that. The ending didn't feel fulfilling. Don't mind Scoomy at the background, she wants to play with everything at the moment. She didn't like that I was spending all my time playing this game. That's one of her dislikes. Thirdly, if you're a sensitive person, I don't recommend this game. It had so many triggers. Like, think of a trigger and it probably had it. Personally, I don't get triggered that easily, only one specific topic. Guess what comes up? And this game made me cry, and for a specific reason. Again, I'm not spoiling anything, but if you are sensitive to anything, I would tread with caution. Definitely tread with caution with some of these stories. Happy to send me a message on Twitter if you want to know which ones to avoid if you've got a certain trigger. I'm happy to help there because, I love this game. And lastly, what really did irritate me was you needed to find the right end to progress. And that's difficult when the right end could be a story that was 2 letters ago, or it was someone you haven't unlocked because you need to go and find a different story, a different letter, and find a specific ending from there. Or you just had to change over your ending. So it wasn't always S rank endings that you needed. Sometimes you needed the D rank in one person's story to get the S rank in another person's story. And yeah, I wasn't happy. I wanted the whole board just to be S's, and it's just not possible. So what did I love about this game? There are so many things to love about this game. Firstly, in-depth characters. You've got so many different characters. You've got characters from Mexico, you've got Korean characters, you've got Chinese characters, you have a character from Japan. You've got characters everywhere with totally different stories, and it's just so interesting how they all link up. And with these different characters, there's so many different scenarios that can come out of it. You've even got children. One of the characters is even a cat, so I'm like, how can you get a story out of a cat? It pulls you in so emotionally. And I really loved how these stories overlapped in a way that maybe they weren't on the same timeline, but they were, you needed each story to see, and you could see where, if say there were scenarios where they are on the same timeline, you could see where they could overlap. And I think that's such great storytelling. The gameplay, this is very important to me because I love a visual novel, but sometimes I don't know if it's like an ADHD brain I've got going on, but sitting down and just reading and reading and reading, I can get a bit bored, and I may be like, well, I don't really want to read today, so I don't really want to play this game. But this, it's not just reading, it's also mixing up the letters and sentences in letters to try and find a different scenario. It could just be one sentence that changes everything. It's such a butterfly effect. And I enjoyed that, as well as, again, not a spoiler, you have the story of what Myth is going through as the protagonist, as the god who's writing the letter, and you have the other characters and what they're going through. So you've got two things going on at once. So Myth is trying to get used to being this god again because she's got amnesia and she kind of has forgotten what she's doing, and she's like, okay, well, I've got to just kind of get on with it, and I'm very confused why these things are happening, and it all comes down to such a great twist, multiple endings. It's so good. And with that, the humor is just so good. I love a game that has my sense of humor, which is kind of silly, kind of sarcastic, and that's the type of humor that this game have. And like I said, Myth and Willy, their chemistry together as they tell the story is so good. And lastly, on my what I loved is some of the CGs are a bit, some can be steamy, some can be heartbreaking, and some are just magical. And I think that really brings together why this game is so enticing. I guess that's the word. I was sold on the art style. So the art style, as you can see, is really beautiful, and the storytelling elements and how it branches off. I really enjoyed how it was set out. I'd love to see more games like this. I'd love to see the developer create more games in this style. Again, I'd love to read more stories and, I don't know, see how some of the characters develop. So yeah, it's definitely a big thumbs up, this game. If you love visual novels, if you like a bit of gameplay as you're going on, if you love a cat climbing up a chair, you should definitely have a go at Will a Wonderful World. So that's my quick quick review of Will a Wonderful World. In the next part, I will be ranking the characters and their stories, kind of, but mainly the characters and their personalities. So check out that. If you don't want spoilers, I would say goodbye now, because there's definitely going to be spoilers in this next section. Hello, and for those who have already played this game or who don't really care about spoilers and just want to see what I feel about these characters, then welcome to my make a tier list. Okay, this isn't I didn't make this tier list. It was VN_Supremacy. So credit to them for creating all this. I know how annoying it can be to try and actually get all of these things put together. So, you know, we are using what we have. So let's get right into it. There's no special rankings. It's just S, A, B, C, and D. And I think that's all we need. So let's begin. So first we have Myth. Myth, she's the protagonist. I really liked her. I liked her as a character. I liked her story and why she has amnesia, and that I called it that she was the little sister from like ages on. I knew that there was something going on between her and Willy, and yeah, so she is going in S rank because I really liked her. Yeah. So let's put it up in S. I may change my rank as I go along. I haven't really thought about this, so you're going with how my brain is going at this very moment. Next we have Willy. He's a dog. He's an animal. I'm always gonna like animals. Animals can't be anything less than S tier. Do I have to really explain it any more than that? Only that I think if it was like in a real life situation, in my head he sounded like Danny DeVito. I don't know why. That was just kind of the voice he had in my head, like this real, I can't describe it as anything else but Danny DeVito. So that's Willy. So next we go on to Rocky. So Rocky was the high school friend, I guess, of Liwen and Jimmy, and he was Jimmy's college roommate, I guess. I wasn't that into Rocky. He had like this, like just the boyish personality, and like when he challenged Liwen to the tennis match, and I mean, there was just something about him that I wasn't that into. Is he the worst character? Maybe not. So I wasn't bored by him, I just wasn't really interested. Yeah, I just wasn't that interested. Next, I like how this tier list includes Yang Yin in this. She is the homeroom teacher of Li Wen and the former love interest of Wen Xiaoren, and I'm like, that's kind of cute. And she was so supportive of Li Wen, and I really liked her. This is one of the stories that I really wish had more of a story. I wish she had more about, I wanted to know more about her, and that's what made me sad. I really liked her, but she needed more of a story. She needed more of a background. I'd like to see one more of her relationship with Xiaoren, and I would also like to see her with like the other students, maybe like coaching Jimmy or something, or a bit more than she was. And I would have liked to see that. I'm really into the high school trope. I really enjoy that type of experience, maybe because my high school was so terrible, but I really enjoy that. So yeah, I would have loved to see more teacher action. Speaking of teacher action, not only is he a struggling artist, he teaches art at school, and he has this kind of mystical, almost emo aura to him. Yeah, did he try and commit suicide at the beginning of the game? Maybe. Is he a bit crazy? Also maybe. Did he hit on a high school student and in the end kiss her? 100% definitely. Do I still love him? Yes, because there's something wrong with me. It is Mr. Wen Xiaoren, and he is going in S. I was about to put him in A, but I'm like, no, I loved his whole story. I loved how kind of like tortured he was. Is that wrong? I think that's wrong, but I really loved his story. And that was one of the stories I wanted to keep getting to, and I was like, oh, I've got to read some of these boring stories before I can get to a new story with him. It's the same with Li Ren, the next one. I like Li Ren. I loved her. I think it's because it's the anime aesthetic. She's a high school student. She just wants to be the best she can be. I loved her story, and she had a crush on a teacher, and I'm like, I would play a game, read a visual novel that was just those two. I want to hear their romance, and I want it all. I want to hear all that's going on there. That scene when they're out in the rain and they go back to the cabin and it's all steamy and all, and like, oh my god, I was sitting there like playing it, and I was verbally aghast. My boyfriend was like, what's wrong? I was like, look, they're kissing. And I had to like explain the dynamic. Yes, I think is she 18? I think she's a lot older than, say, British high school, because that would be a totally no-no. Ofsted would be there, and yeah. But oh no, I kind of love her. She makes me happy. So she, again, is going into S. There aren't too many others that are going into, just looking at the list. I think there's only like one going in S. Yeah. Next we have Jimmy. Poor Jimmy. I like Jimmy. And this is like the, like adult Jimmy. This is like college Jimmy. They've got another on this list. They've got young Jimmy, but I don't know why they've got two, because he's the same person to me. So I'm not ranking young Jimmy, so I kind of cross him out. Jimmy as a whole. I liked Jimmy. I liked his story. I liked his infatuation with Li Wen, and I liked that he really tried hard, and he had like such an infatuation, like a puppy dog. And yeah, I kind of, my heart, not quite S. I think his story was padded out enough that I'm not wanting more. And I did care about him. I did care about Jimmy. If a Jimmy story came up, I was like, okay, yeah, I wanna read more about Jimmy. So Jimmy does go in A. Next we have Pi, and I was a bit unsure whether to do Pi, because you can hear my conspiracy theory. Because I am pretty sure Pi is Sangyeon. I'm pretty sure, because of the abuse that Sangyeon had, that he turned out to be Pi and turned out to be really fucked up. I'm unsure about that, so he's going in C. I don't have much to say about Pi. I liked his story, I liked how messed up in the head he was, but I'm pretty sure it's all because of this little kid. I'm pretty sure Park Sangyeon turned out to be Pi. The same way as we have young Jimmy and old Jimmy. No, sorry, like child Jimmy and adult Jimmy. That's like child Park Sangyeon, sorry, and old Pi, adult Pi. My theory, let me know in the comments if you think anything different, but that's how I read it when I was playing this. So we go on to Park Sangyeon, and oh my god, the heartbreak and the kind of everything. And I was all for him killing his abusive father. I was like, yeah, you kill him. And then he gets taken away by the nut house, the crazy the people in the white coats come and get him. And then you learn that maybe it wasn't the way he was telling us in the letters. In the letters, he was the victim. He was the one who was being abused by his father. He was the one who these bad things were happening to. And yeah, like, it's such a twist and turn. I really enjoyed his story. And the fact that his overlapped with Spotty and he was nice with Spotty. Like, my heart, if you're nice to animals, you've already got my heart. If you're like a friend to animals, you've got my heart. If you don't care much about animals, I'm a bit suspicious of you, because how can you not like animals? And if you're horrible to animals, you're on my blacklist. I don't understand people like, I hate animals. Like, no, I love them, so be kind. Just be kind to everyone, and that includes animals. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So, Sangyeon, he was a good story. I really enjoyed his story. I have a feeling he's not quite an A though. He wasn't really the same as Jimmy. I was more confused by his storyline than anything, but I think a smart person would understand it. I'm not necessarily that smart, so I don't know. I think I will put him in B rank, although his story is good. Okay, so Carlos. So we get on to Carlos now, and I mean, his story was sweet. He was going over to, was it Hong Kong? Pretty sure it was Hong Kong. He was going over there to try and find his sister. He saved up all this money, he was going to find his sister, ended up in a cartel. Okay, and he was doing all these horrible things, and I didn't want him to do the horrible things, but you kind of had to do the horrible things to progress the story. And I was like, I was really hoping at the end he would actually find his sister. I was hoping there would be a reunion and it would be happy ever after, but it never really was, and that's kind of a bummer for me. I wasn't really interested in his stories. I didn't really care. The whole thing in the jail cell, again, I didn't care that much. I was interested in the other characters more. Sorry, Carlos, and this is gonna look bad, but actually, I preferred you to your sister. Is that wrong? I prefer you to your sister, so I might put you just one above. I'm just looking, do I hate anyone here? No. I don't hate anyone. D doesn't necessarily mean I dislike them as much. I just wasn't a fan. I'm gonna put him in C, just for now. Maybe there won't be a D rank. I mean, we've come on to it. I've already spoke about Alyssa, and I was not interested in her story at all. I was interested in the side character stories that she was talking about and everybody else, and I wasn't interested in her story. She kind of annoyed me at times, and again, I didn't get that relief of when she found Carlos, because she didn't find Carlos, and that's all I really cared about, and they were so close at so many parts, and I was like, no. So that's why, sorry Alyssa, you are in D, because I just was not into your story. Spotty, my boy Spotty. I love Spotty. He was the only character that actually made me cry. Like I said in my review, everything's a trigger in this. If you have a trigger, you gotta be triggered. Animal abuse is my trigger, and him and Daddy, and I'm like, I was in tears. I was trying to skip through the text because I didn't want to read anymore, and I think that is how good the writing of this game is, because it's just, the writing made me cry. And then when he was like with the big boss cat, and he was like, well, I'm just gonna lay down on this pipe because that's what I'm gonna do. My heart, I loved him. Or with the milk, with the drunken Sangyun's dad, and his milk got spilled. I'm like, please don't do anything bad, but I need all the endings, so I'm gonna have to do a bad thing for you to get hurt, knowing that you're gonna get hurt. It was just a lot. It was a lot. What do you think? Let me know in the comments what you think about Spotty and his storyline, because my heart hurt every time I saw a Spotty letter come up, because I was like, nothing good's gonna happen. It may be called A Wonderful World, but I think that's a sarcastic title. So my Spotty is going up there in S. So next we have the police officer guy himself. We have Chang Yeon-min. I don't know how I feel about him. Not in the same way as Carlos and Alicia, but I feel he was just a bit needy and a bit too wanting to be SS and everything type thing, and he wants to be the top, but he probably should like be taken down a peg or two. And then again, I'm like, he doesn't really have a personality, and I'm like, he just wants to be as good as his boss, and I'm like, nah, I don't know. His story was fine. I'm not necessarily into the whole police trope, so I mean, he was fine. So I don't think he would go into D. I'm pretty sure I would put him in a good C. Good C. And then we do have his boss, Kam Bak-ya. I was not into him at all, let's say this. And I was like, why is he so weird? Why is he weird? And then you realise he has DID. I'm like, that's why he's weird. That makes sense why he's so weird, and why he changes personalities all the time, and while he's okay shooting someone, or why he's in danger, it is like a whole new person comes out. That makes sense. However, saying that again, it's another police trope. And his was one where you've got to get one of the endings to progress another thing, but it's not the S ending. You can't get his S ending for something until you've got another ending. Wound me up. And I just wanted to finish, and his was one of the last ones to finish. I'm like, okay, I understand you've had trouble past, I get it. You got a dissociative identity disorder. I understand. Kind of bored of you now, though. So, I mean, the only thing that I do that find brilliant, and please comment, that CG when they're in the showers and Yeon-min whips, like, drops the soap and he whips the towel and there's just that his naked body, that got me going. I was like, and not like got me going, I was like, oh my. Did that just happen? Am I actually seeing this? I don't know if I screenshotted it. I should check if I screenshot it. Hold on. You can, it's in the collection. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's this. I mean, come on, sir. That's just inappropriate. I was so like, oh my. I had to show it to my boyfriend and was like, have you seen this? Like, look what's going on. And because of that scene, he gets to go to sea. And finally, we have Hotaru. And I don't really know where to put him. Again, he's never one of these ones that he didn't really have a backstory, and the backstory he had was a bit depressing, but it went nowhere. I wasn't interested in a different way that from Alicia. I just wasn't really interested in his story, and I was expecting a lot more. I was really expecting a lot more for him, and yeah, I'm not that interested. So that's my tier list. I'm ignoring young Jimmy. And this woman, I can't even remember what her name was. Probably should rehearse that. I can't remember what her name was. She's the sniper woman. You get one story from her and that's it. And I'm like, I'm not that bothered, to be honest. So she doesn't really do anything for me, so she goes there. Young Jimmy can go with old Jimmy. I like things to be neat. I like it to be neat. So this is my tier list. Well, thank you so much for watching this review and a tier maker list. I hope to make more of these, especially if I don't do let's plays. I think it might be interesting if there's a lot of characters to make tier maker or even just reviews. Let me know what you think. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you in whatever I'm up to next. Thank you so much. Bye.